Biden's like, there won't be a moment of daylight between me and Netanyahu, between the United States and Israel. He seems to be a very old school Democrat, right? An old school centrist Democrat who's not really that progressive. I mean, he campaigned in the 70s on, no busing. He, at a moment.
No, go back to what Kamala Harris said about him during the presidential debate. She accused him of basically being a racist. And then he said, okay, I've got a problem. So now what I'll do is I'll get you to be my vice president.
So in light of that, I don't think that Joe Biden's being dishonest. I think the sad part is this is who he is. But over the years, what he's been able to do is say, yeah, I believe in locking up lots of Black people, but that's no longer like hip to do. So, I'll apologize for the crime bill. I'll apologize for
that sounds like the title of your next book, Mark.
It might be, but it's like it's like he effectively moves with the tide, not at a principle. He opposed reparations, he opposed desegregation, he opposed, all the things, right? But he knew that it was bad for business. I'm not sure that he realizes that being lockstep with Netanyahu right now is bad for business, but I think it's going to cost him the election.
See, this is where I'm different, and maybe it's because I'm looking from the true outside in. I think the president is in a situation now where he's saying, just tell me what to do, what to say to make all this go away. So I come out in the hours after the initial attack, and the State Department, not once but twice, had to take back tweets where they're like, hey, Israel, you guys better be careful, be calm, don't do anything rash here, even though they've just been under a clear attack from terrorists. And so then they had to walk that back not once but twice. And then the White House is like, okay, what do we do now? Well, all right, we're going to stand with Israel, but we're not going to say it too much publicly. We're not going to go talk to Netanyahu. We're not going to do joint press conferences. I don't think there's a policy. I think the policy is, how do you win in November? And are we more afraid of young people staying home and not voting for us? Or are we more afraid that older people are sick and tired of us and they're going to say, we're not voting for you either? Like, if you are running his White House right now or his campaign, you have got to be having sleepless night after sleepless night, because at least when I go to war and I've got a candidate that I believe in, I'll use Ted Cruz in 2016. I endorsed Cruz in 2016. I supported him. I was all in. And even Trump said to me afterwards, I got to respect you, because in the primary, you knew what your guy was. You knew why you believed in him. You knew why you backed him. At least had a platform. There's no platform for foreign policy with this president.
Yeah. There's a platform. I just think that it's not.
What is it? Because explain it. And I'm asking, I mean this sincerely. Because the platform and the logic used with Ukraine and Russia is a 180 from the logic that he's using with China, and the logic that he uses. I'm talking about, like, what is an adversary, and who do you stand up to? And then it's different than what we're now seeing now with Iran. It's different than what we're seeing with Palestinians in Gaza and Hamas and Hezbollah. And it's even different than what we're seeing with Israel. I don't know what their foreign policy is.
I think the Biden plan, honestly, in some ways, it's not that different than the Trump plan, right? Which was, we don't want to, we want to de-escalate. We want to do whatever policy decision, we'll make whatever policy decision is necessary to de-escalate or to prevent escalation, right? So, for example, with the exception of Israel, right? So the U.S. doesn't want a proxy war with Russia. The U.S. doesn't want a proxy war with China, but they also understand they don't want one with Iran, And the Iran nuclear plan under Obama, and then again now under Biden, the vision is the same, right? It's to say that we want to keep Iran within a manageable space. We want to prevent nuclear proliferation, but we also want to allow Iran to function as any other sovereign nation state, to be able to enrich low levels of uranium, low levels of nuclear matter for other purposes, right? I think,
and I do get that, but my worry is with Iran, and to ask you this question is, they kicked out those that were monitoring the inspections, and they said, you're out of here, and they're gone. You've got a foreign policy that says that we have sanctions on Iranian oil, which is funding everything that they want to do, including funding and supporting terrorists. And yet we're not those sanctions are there almost like as a, hey, we have sanctions on Iran, even though we're not imposing those sanctions. You got these ghost boats that are filled with oil every day that aren't ghosts anymore, that are running straight to China with this oil that they're buying at a discount on the black market, which everyone knows is happening because they're no longer even trying to hide it. So I sit there and I go, what does the world take from this? I think the world takes from it is do whatever the hell you want to do right now, because Joe Biden isn't going to stop you. At least Trump was different, where it was like, I'll meet with any bad guy in the world anywhere, and I'll try to de-escalate. I'll meet with Kim Jong-un, and I'll walk over there and I'll shake his hand, and I'll have that conversation. Hell, I'll talk to Vladimir Putin face-to-face. I don't care. But I'll also call a terrorist, in the Middle East and tell them where they are. And if they lay another finger on another American in Afghanistan while I'm president, I'm going to blow you up. Like, that's at least a foreign policy that's behind something. I don't think anybody expects anything from Joe Biden right now. That's got to be worrisome moving in November. Am I wrong?
Well, I think Joe Biden is worrisome in November for lots of reasons. It's funny, here at night school, my audience, like me, is to the left of Joe Biden mostly. So the thing where they will agree with you, and you can even see in some of the comments they're agreeing with you, is because we're all like, yeah, Joe Biden's the wrong guy, and Joe Biden is full of shit, right?
Who was the guy? By the way, you can say it again. Joe Biden was what? I barely heard that. I just want to stick that on the loop on my Instagram reel later.
Like we all are critical of Joe Biden.